Hi, fellow Divine Rebels. It's Rebecca again. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. I feel it heartfelt, and I love that you're giving yourself this time, and thank you for listening. The weekly challenge this week is thank you. And thank you is a byproduct of gratitude, which is one of my superpowers. Something I stand upon. So I've done a video on gratitude already and another one's coming. So I'm going to speak about gratitude very briefly, just something I just learned myself. At UC Berkeley, they have a program called I'm not even going to say it because I won't get it right now. They work with gratitude and the greater good, and it's neuroscience based. So it is scientifically based. And they took groups of people controlled, and one group of these people expressed gratitude by writing a thank you note once a week for 4 weeks. And their brain scans, what gratitude does in our brain is it opens up new neural pathways, expands our happiness, brings us up into more optimism, etc., etc. It's all good stuff. The effects in the brain, doing brain scans on these people who wrote thank you notes, were 12 weeks later after they had stopped, it was still effective. So it's not very much effort to keep running on the how good it is for us. And that's the only thing I'm going to say about gratitude right now. So I'm going to go to thank you, which is a byproduct of gratitude. And number one, we all like to be appreciated. We all love it when we are appreciated. We don't live for it necessarily, but it's always nice when it comes our way, and it boosts us and it boosts the person who is appreciative of us. So what I'm going to request this week, I'm going to do two folds. I'm going to keep it on the light side in the beginning of this video and doing it a little different. And I'm going to go and flip it on its head. And for those of you who want to go down to the depths a little farther of thank you, which is a light topic, right? But it's so meaningful. Just because it's light doesn't mean it doesn't have depth. But anyway, so if you're in a hurry, get a couple ideas and boogie. I just staged myself. And if you have time and you want to go to the depth, stay and watch the whole video. So, I need to go back to the gratitude study. It did not work in people's brains unless they actually felt it in their body. That was the key. So if they wrote thank you notes and they didn't feel it, it didn't do anything in their brain. Interesting little tidbit. So there you go. Again, I'm going to move on from gratitude. For years, on and off, I've had a practice of writing a thank you note to somebody. Wait, I'm going to start over. Every Friday, I've had a practice on and off of every Friday writing a thank you note to someone who's had impact on me during the week. And it's fun, and the reactions have been amazing all over the place. And for those of you who know me, this year's been a challenge, and my husband and I just started that practice together. So we got to talk about who had the most impact, and we do write out a note, whether it be a text, an email, a handwritten note, whatever's appropriate. You can figure that out. So one of my points that I'd like to make about this is we all love to feel appreciated. I said that already, but that is one thing. When we feel appreciation and gratefulness, our energy gets higher, and it fills us for a while. We can ride on the fumes for a long time. The other thing is why I'm asking you to do this is when you are spending your time looking for the impact that's good in your world, you are not looking at what's bad for you and the critical. They're going to come up, but it's easier to look for the good. And it doesn't mean people don't hurt us. It doesn't mean that you ignore shit. Don't do that. But when you are focusing on Friday, I want to send a thank you note. And who's it going to be to? It just opens up the space and you're not as narrowly focused on the negative. So a journal, I've done journaling where every night I wrote at least 10 things that I was grateful for during my day. And sometimes when I was raising teenagers alone, it was, I'm so glad I'm in my bed. But you know what I mean. Also, I'd like to bring in something that we don't usually practice. And as a divine rebel, you are out serving so many people and changing the world that we forget ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to, maybe this week, the person who had the most impact on you was yourself. So if you allowed yourself your meditation time or a yoga class or a run or time with friends that you normally don't give yourself, you get to write yourself your notes or do something to celebrate and appreciate yourself. And it could even be that you faced a fear and you moved through it. So whatever it is, you get to thank yourself. We're always in relationship. We're in relationship with ourselves, first and foremost, with others, with the world, and then with, if you believe in a higher, bigger power than you, in a spiritual sense, you're in relationship with that. So you get to write the universe, you get to write your spouse, you get to write your friend, you get to write yourself. Whoever it is you want to say thank you to, say thank you to. So that's the light part. For those of you who need to run, bye, thank you, I appreciate you. You matter. So now to go to a little deeper, let's flip it on its upside down, on its side, a little cockeyed. What if you could say thank you to a situation that you never asked for, a person that hurt you? There's always something good that comes from it. And there's always a pearl or a gem that you get to dig out of it. For instance, I'll tell you a story. I went through the dark night of the soul about 13 years ago. I got sent there from a few traumatic events, a death of a beloved, and it was a long, drawn-out death, and another beloved coming into the world who didn't want to be here and wanted to keep going back. So it was 6 months of a newborn not wanting to stay. And it was pretty traumatic. And what happened to me is I started looking around and realizing that all the people I'd been there for were not having my back. And they were kind of pissed at me for going down. I'd always been a strong woman, and I was sliding down into the cave. So a dark night of the soul is historically, throughout the ages, not a bad thing. In our culture, we think of it as a bad thing. Most mystics have gone through it. Anybody who's on their spiritual quest has had some of their dips. And it's a time to really figure things out. And that's what it was for me. However, when you're in it, it's incredibly painful. And you don't really know what's going on. So if you're in one of the dark night of the souls, hang on, there is light. Just go through the light, ask yourself every day, what is it you want and what is it you need? And you'll get there. Just keep going. In this time, I had a friend that at the time I haven't had contact with for 13 years. She said to me, her question to me is, why can't you just be happy? What's wrong with that? So first, I'm going to say what's wrong with that question is when somebody is in pain and can't stop crying, that is not the question to ask them. And number two, I wasn't searching for happiness. Happiness is elusive. Happiness comes and goes. It's what it is. Happiness is not a state to be searching for because it comes and goes from circumstances. To me, contentness, fulfilling, meaningful, joy, those are things that last, and that you can get up every day and say, I'm on my purpose, and it brings joy. And the bigger picture for me is freedom. Freedom is my number one value that I cannot give up. So in this time, and when she said that to me, what I didn't know was that I had forgotten all my values. I started down the path and I was doing really well. And one by one, they kind of went to the side. And when I woke up, number one, when you touch death, you change. The way you see the world changes. What was important to me was my relationships with others that are true relationships. My relationship with myself. Am I walking and talking what's important to me? And the rest comes. So why I told you this story is her question, how harsh it was at the time, has stuck to me. And it's a good sticker, and it's a great measurement for me to say, am I searching for happiness, or am I living my values and searching for my meaning? And I thank her. If she's watching this, she knows who she is. I thank her for asking the question, even though it was painful at the time because I already was crying and I felt worse that I couldn't just be happy and stay disconnected from my head and my heart. I am grateful because those words still ring in my head, and it helps me measure where I am. So I'm asking you, where can you turn one of those moments that was not the best moment or the best circumstances or a friend being tone deaf to what's going on in your world, where it turned and you can say thank you today? That's the deep work. That's where I want you to look. So good luck on this weekly challenge. I would love feedback. Let me know how this affected you and what impact it had on you, please. And sign up for our Magic Cafe. It's where Divine Rebels meet, and we get to talk about these topics and how we navigated through some of them. And it's a nice time to give yourself. Just because like-minded people, you get to just be yourself and say it. And also, I have a visualization that helps connect you to your inner divine rebel. Let's create that force for you so you can go out there and do it all, baby. See you next time. Thank you.